Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gregtech New Horizons. So we got a bit more organised last episode in preparation for progressing through HV. We also added a second blast furnace in here with canthal coils, which allows us to very easily make aluminium now, and also our stainless steel. The first minor upgrade we're going to make is to our backpack. I want to actually make a second one, but I'm waiting on this drying rack here, so that's going to take a while. Oh yeah, that's some nice inventory space to be carrying around now. So the plan for today is to build and assemble a clean room. But not before we come up with the solution to avoid having to use these vanilla furnaces. Pretty much every ingot we own has went through these things, which is kind of insane for being an HV. So this is going to cost us some HV circuits, and may leave us with not enough for the clean room. But I think in the long term we're going to save time with this, and we're going to smelt all the things with the multi-smelter. So with a bit of crafting, we can pick up our heat-proof machine casings, use up the HV circuits to craft the controller block, and we have our multi-smelter, right? Well, not exactly, we still need a few more items for this, like the muffler hatch, the output and input buses, maintenance hatch, something broke, I don't know what was there, oh, the soft mallet, that's okay, we make a new one. Oh, and the tan leather is finished as well, I made a couple of extra, let's grab a second backpack. The other thing we need for our smelter is energy inputs. And since this thing is blazing fast, I think we're just going to reuse our LV hatches we took from the blast furnace. We'll see if that's good enough, if not we'll upgrade. We also need coil blocks similar to the blast furnace, but I really don't want to wait for canthal again, so we're just going to use copper nickel I think for this one. And the multi-smelter I think would be suitable next to our steam grinders here. This will also emit quite a bit of pollution, so I want to keep it near this side of the base. And there is our multi-smelter. It's like a little miniature blast furnace here. Has problems, yeah. The problems on the multi-smelter can wait, but first of all we do need a way to power this thing. We're going to use LV combustion generators for this, which have a fuel efficiency of 95%. So maybe it's actually a good thing we picked the energy input hatches at LV tier. Alright, so what we're going to do to power this thing, we're going to place our two combustion generators into a battery buffer. Fill this with some small lithium batteries. And we'll use some red alloy cable, which is lossless at LV. I don't actually think it matters for this short a distance, but we have them, so let's use them. Plug all of these in, everything is LV, we should not experience any explosions with this. And all we have to do now is provide fuel to these two combustion generators. So actually at this point, I'm going to probably hook up our fuel system to the rest of our base. I want to have a fuel line that runs to this multi-smelter and also to our blast furnaces over there, as right now we are just manually filling this turbo combustion generator. Trying to decide exactly what fluid pipe I want to use as well. I don't want to do something that's too small and not able to handle the fuel throughput that we need. I also don't want to do something that's too expensive. So I decided to just continue to use potent pipes. They give us the most bang for our buck. I mean, they're not the cheapest things to build, but they give relatively decent throughput. So I've extended a line here all the way underneath. It runs underneath the floor right here and then connects to our super tank where we have an MV pump on the bottom of this tank. We just need to enable input right here and disable on this side of the block. That should get all the fuel running through these pipes. Oh, the generators are running, we have animation. Let's test this thing out. We've got some tin dust in the inputs. 12 seconds per recipe. This seems nerfed to Community Edition. This seems slower than I remember. I guess it does do 8 at a time. Yeah, this is acceptable. Much better for sure than our vanilla furnaces over there anyway. I'm just waiting on a little bit more potent smelting up so that we can... And actually, I threw the potent dust through that smelter there, forgetting we already had a multi-smelter. There we go, get some more pipe going. Alright, so I went ahead and extended the fuel line across. We now have this turbo combustion generator being automatically fed fuel, which means that we can actually just toss in this stainless. And we no longer have to monitor our fuel levels for the steam. This one here is still not hooked up, but we have to switch the generators over for that. I think I'm going to hold off on that though. I wonder how our buffer here is doing actually. Oh, wow, the whole buffer went into the fluid pipes. That is crazy. We have to... We have to be careful what we're doing here. We could end up wasting quite a lot of fuel. And this system right here is not fully automatic. Yeah, let's at least restart these distilleries though. On a more positive note though, we do have a really awesome multi-smelter here that we can use to smelt all of our ingots. I'll do a little bit more cleanup on that later on, but I think at this point, let's start to work on our clean room. Actually, just before we look at the clean room, I just picked up our miner here. I had it on a magnetite vein between episodes. We picked up lots of iron, but the main thing I wanted here was gold, since we need so much of it for HV. There is a very surprising lack of mobs in this nether. I'm not really sure what's going on today, but I'm looking for a tetrahedrite vein. We seem to always be out of copper, so I think we're going to drop our miner there before we start working on the clean room. Yeah, here we are. This is perfect, and we're going to get stibnite from this, and I'll explain a little bit later why exactly we need a lot of stibnite. But let's try to get to the top of this vein. Oh, that's lava. That's lava. We'll set up our miner again here. This thing has been amazing since we built it. In fact, I'm probably going to invest in another one, as I mentioned last episode. And we'll check back on this miner in a couple of hours. So the clean room is basically a multi-block structure which we assemble circuits in. And the higher tier circuits requires to be inside the clean room when we craft them. We need a bunch of hatches to be able to input and output to the clean room. We need a reinforced door. I looked at this earlier on. Look at this for a recipe. And probably the most difficult part of this is actually these filters. This is going to be a lot of item filters, which is a lot of zinc. Lots and lots of Plascrete as well, which is black steel. Alright, so as usual, I've been doing lots of crafting, trying to gather the materials for the clean room. This is our current situation here in the middle of this chest. I managed to get all of the IO items, a door, a pressure plate, even the clean room controller. But as I suspected, we don't have enough materials for these filter machine casings. The quest calls for 8, we can actually craft 8 here. This is the recipe for it. But we're not going to go for minimum size here. Oh no. If we're going to do that, we'll have to upgrade it eventually. So we may as well go big or go home, right? So anyways, to make these item fillers we need raw carbon mesh. And to make the carbon mesh, I crafted up this autoclave actually, which we can autoclave carbon dust and molten polyethylene. Gives us raw carbon fibers. We throw this through the assembler on circuit 2 to give us raw carbon mesh. And we can extrude this into a canoe. Interesting. No, we throw this through the assembler with zinc foils. And this zinc here is actually the thing we've run out of. And look at, I didn't actually notice this before, but look at this. We can actually thermal centrifuge purified tetrahedrite, which is where our miner is. It is only a chance output, but we need the thermal centrifuge for a little project later on anyway. So let's just craft the thing right now. I think there's a quest for the LV one, but we're going to pick it up at MV. And we can do our usual setup here with the conveyor module and 2 chests. They'll be able to batch craft more easily. And you can sit right here. Alright, now to grab all of this tetrahedrite. And it's been so long since I set up this miner, I really can't remember the way back. I think it was actually part of this tunnel here. Hello, doggy. Yeah, I'm sure it was down this way. Looks like this pigment's having a really nice time over there. What an awesome place to spawn. Turns out we were in completely the wrong tunnel, but here is our miner. Oh, and there's a piece of firestone here. So if you're not aware of what firestone is, if we put this in our inventory, things just start to burn around us, and it could actually be very, very dangerous. So actually, I think I'm just going to take the tetrahedrite and we'll leave this here. We'll deal with that later on, yeah. And once it's crushed, let's throw this through the thermal centrifuge. It's only an 11% chance, but we end up with so much crushed tetrahedrite that it's just a numbers game at this point, really. So while we're on the subject of this thermal centrifuge actually, after we have the centrifuge tetrahedrite ore, we can actually pulverize this for a 10% chance at another zinc dust. The only problem is, the macerator has to be at least HV or higher to grant the additional byproducts. So let's take a little detour and invest in one of our first HV machines right here. This is going to cost us 2 circuits, and we have, I think, 5 to our name here. We'll need to make up some more HV machine hulls for this. We'll need an HV motor, some cables, and the things we're short on here is a piston and a diamond grinding gear, or tungsten. Yeah, there's no chance for doing tungsten. The diamond grinding gear, which needs an industrial diamond. Oh no, we can use regular diamonds, okay. You know what, I realised if we're making HV, we need a way to power HV. And we've... That probably means we should pick up a turbo combustion generator, which is another circuit to be using. Along with another 2 electric pistons, which is a fair amount of stainless here. We should be able to manage it though with a little bit of crafting. Yes, more motors. 3 more... Not 3 more pistons, we're small stainless gears. I always miss something here. Okay, this time, 3 more pistons. Our diamond grinding head. And with that we can pick up our universal macerator, like this. Yeah. Quest complete. Alright, we made up some more stainless gears, and we can craft our combustion generator. Maybe? Oh, the circuit, of course. So this is absolutely not the most optimal place for this universal macerator to be. But this is where it's going to sit for right now. It's basically just here so that we can hook up the turbo combustion generator to the fuel line here. Oh my goodness, no way. Well, I'm glad that wasn't a drone creeper. Anyways, we just have to hook up this pipe here, which should send some fuel into this combustion generator and power the macerator. So now we can toss the output of this thermal centrifuge. We got 13 zinc just from the thermal centrifuge itself, and we got another 10% per piece that goes through this macerator. And the fact that we now have this macerator pretty much obsoletes these 2 steam grinders, since it's way more efficient to throw them to that thing than to use these things. So those 2 machines will take some time to run, to be able to give us enough zinc. But in the meantime, let's look at our Plascrete blocks. This is basically the main casing of the multi-block, and as I mentioned, takes black steel. So I may have went a bit overkill with the black steel here. We have 2 stacks in the output of this mixer. Black steel is basically a mix of 3 steel dust, 1 nickel, and 1 black bronze. And black bronze is electrum and copper. So I spent quite a lot of electrum, which we need for HV, but you know, better too much than too little. So some of it has already went through the blast furnace. I think this is a 15-second recipe? 50-second recipe. But then all of these ingots we have to send through the extruder to make rods, which we send through the assembler on circuit 4 here to give us the frames, like so. Oh, we got a spare filter here, that's nice to know. And the frames we have to mix with wet concrete, which we should still have set up in this mixer here. Yeah, we got our inputs on the top on this drawer. The polyethylene I've been fluid solidifying here. In fact, we're almost out of polyethylene, so we may have to come up with a little solution for that later on, but we're going to hold off on that for a bit. But these polyethylene ingots, we just have to macerate in one of these. Looks like that one's busy. We'll use this one for now. I guess these really aren't obsolete, it's useful for things like polyethylene. You know what, maybe I didn't go overboard with the black steel. Each frame only gives us 1 piece of Plascrete, and we need a couple of stacks of these at least. I haven't counted this one out specifically, and this is once again going to take an eternity. Well, approximately a lifetime later, we are still waiting on machines actually. This is not completed yet. And actually, I just had a thought. If it rains here, we may be very, very sad. So, yeah, let's remove this for now. I think these Plascrete blocks will be okay. Actually, let's remove the maintenance hatch as well. Yeah, I've basically just been staring at this assembler, waiting for it to... for us to craft item filters and Plascrete blocks here. But for now, I think this is going to be our location. We need to supply this thing with power, so all of the maintenance will be in the back there. But yeah, I guess before we complete this structure, let's put a roof on this place. So I got our roof extended along just so that we don't explode here, and I wanted to think about this as more of like a grand scale, not just in the context of where this clean room is. So I already started laying it out on the other side as well. I want this mirrored to the entrance basically. So think of it from like this point here where it's going to be mirrored on both sides, which is really difficult without a jetpack, but it will be done. Maybe we'll do a building stream soon. So just as a little update here on where we're at in the clean room, basically we're just waiting on some zinc here for the filters. We are almost there though, we're going for 24 filters in total. So I thought while we're waiting, let's go back and tackle this polyethylene issue we had. Basically the problem with our polyethylene setup is that we don't have any oxygen or hydrogen, which is a similar situation actually over here for fuel, which is why we're not constantly producing. I mean, we do have tons and tons of oil here, and lots of oil sands, which we use for the heavy oil side. So I was a little reluctant to set this up, but I think it's time. We're going to build an MV electrolyzer. We will also make another reservoir here, which actually may unlock the quest, since we'd never had it unlocked before. Or one cauldron short. We should have a cauldron still somewhere. Yeah, and we'll need a combustion generator for power. We're not going to be using batteries for this setup, since this is something we'll want to run basically permanently. So this will connect up to the fuel line, which is on the output of our super tank here. And then we can do reservoir on top. Actually, this may interfere with the combustion generator. Yeah, let's move it underneath instead. So yeah, once we plug in the fuel here, that should get the combustion generator going. We want to automatically output from the reservoir, which should send it into the electrolyzer. We want this on circuit 1. Oh, we need the empty cells, that's right. And it's 50 seconds per recipe, so this thing is mega slow, but all it really costs us is fuel, which we'll make back. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is going to be net positive for us. But yeah, now we just have to find a way to recycle these empty cells, since it's going to give us oxygen cells, so that we want to place in the tank as fluid, and then send that onto the rest of our system. So actually, rather than having the super tanks on here, I think we'll use the super tanks on the output of the electrolyzer. And we'll swap our hydrogen super tank, which is this one. And yeah, as you can see here, it gives us oxygen and hydrogen, basically for free. So then we do item auto output, which will send the oxygen cells into the tank. We'll need a conveyor to pull the empty cells back in. And then a pump on the other side to export the hydrogen to this one. There we go, we're getting hydrogen and we have oxygen. Okay, nice. And this should now be a fully self-contained system, and we'll keep electrolyzing water until these super tanks are full. But yeah, now of course we need to hook up to our fuel system and the polyethylene. So we want hydrogen in this tank. No, this tank. And also this tank. And we want oxygen cells inside this chemical reactor. Alright, this place is getting more spaghetti by the minute, I love it. So we got our hydrogen line, the oxygen line hooked up. All we need to do now is put pumps on both of these, which sends oxygen up and around this very top line. And this goes into a fluid tank where we have to can it. And then we want a conveyor set to export the items and also allow input. Awesome, and then one more on the top to send the empty cells back, which means that so long as we have oil, we basically have polyethylene. Although as for the hydrogen side, we are going to have to mess with these pipes a bit more. And since we have inputs disabled, basically we have it going one way from left to right. We now have the source on the right hand side, so we have to do this with all the pipes, which is going to be a whole lot of fun here. Enable input, enable input. So I fixed all the pipes, all the fluid should be flowing in the correct direction. We're still not buffering fuel though in this super tank. I think the bottleneck here is the distilleries for light fuel though. But as I've mentioned, this setup isn't forever. We're going to get access to multi-blocks, which will basically make all of these machines obsolete. We just needed a way to buff up our polyethylene setup temporarily, since we seem to go through that a lot. Meanwhile, I think it's been several lifetimes since we kicked off the zinc, and therefore we should have enough. Let's see, we got a bit more smelting up in the multi-smelter we built. Oh guys, I think we have it. We have actually excess IM filters. So we got steel bars, MV electric motors, stainless steel frames, and aluminium rotors. There it is, all 24 of them. And our quest. So these filter machine casings have to be placed on top of this structure. Besides the middle block, which is the controller one. We'll replace our maintenance hatch on the outside here. I think this can go anywhere in the structure, besides the corners. Apparently the cleanroom multi-block itself also takes power, so we'll need an MV energy hatch for this. Actually, I think we can do it at LV as well, but we'll do MV since we'll need MV power for the rest of the machinery in here. And then we will also need to place machine hulls here, since this is how we insert power into the multi-block. We can't have any generators in here since it's, well, a clean room, and generators are dirty, so... Do we have a multi-block? We do, nice. Awesome, okay, we've got a clean room. I've actually been in a clean room IRL as well, that was an experience. I don't remember much from being in there, other than it smelt really funny, and there was a lot of expensive equipment. Anyways, yeah, we need to insert some power in here and perform maintenance. So I dug out another one of our service tunnels here for the fluid pipes, which hooks up to our main fuel line up here. Since we are going to be having multiple machines in there, I think we're going to power this with HV. I know that we have MV machine hulls. If we plug this straight in, we're going to get an explosion. So, of course, we're going to need a transformer. Alright, so to power the cleanroom itself, we're going to use a single combustion generator, which should receive the fuel from underneath. Then we'll place our turbo combustion generator, which outputs HV power, into an MV transformer. I think this side is the input, right? Yeah, so we want this facing down. This will output 4 amps of MV, which we're going to send into an MV battery buffer. And then from the battery buffer, we input to all of these machine hulls, which can only input 1 amp of MV each. So technically with this setup, we can't run all of the machines at once. Well, maybe if the batteries are full, but yeah, since we have 5 machine hulls and only 4 amps coming out of this battery buffer, it means that we just have to be a little bit careful, but the single blocks don't void anything anyway, so I think we're going to be fine with this until we upgrade. Oh, and let's not forget to put the batteries in. Oh, and thank you for the comment that you can actually just click the toolbox straight on this hatch. Okay, our problems have disappeared. The one catch with this cleanroom though is we have to basically keep the door shut. If we open the door, then it loses efficiency, and I think it means that it will draw more power, and also increases the chance for maintenance to be required. And if the cleanroom ever requires maintenance, I think there is a chance for the items inside to be voided. So we absolutely want to make sure that there's no maintenance issues on this thing. I guess we really haven't talked about what we're going to be using this for, but basically this is going to allow us to get cheaper LV, MV and HV circuits, as well as allowing us to craft the workstations, which specifically have to be inside a cleanroom. We're not quite ready to go for EV circuits yet, but it would be really nice to be able to get the LV ones cheaper, which is going to come in the form of the Microprocessor, which is the highest tier LV. This Microprocessor grants us 2 per recipe. I think it can be used interchangeably with all of the other LV circuits. Needs a cleanroom and also requires MV circuit assembler. Our circuit assembler here is only basic, or LV. Oh, some circuits still in here. I forgot about these. Nice. But yeah, we need the MV circuit assembler, which takes HV circuits, seemingly. Yeah, here is our quest for it. So this is mostly MV components, which are not too bad at this point. Although this does take HV circuits for an MV machine. I think this is the only one that follows that rule. The circuit assemblers work slightly differently to the rest of the machines. However, you can see our problem here. We only have 1 HV left. We also only have 1 integrated circuit left. We can't use these 2 for the HV circuits. So we're going to have to start at the bottom here. So yeah, first one, if I remember correctly, takes resistors, diodes, although we're not going to use all of these since we need them for the MVs as well. Integrated 10 bolts and circuit boards. Yeah, alright, so we need 2 of these at least. No, we need 4 of these? We're not going to have enough diodes for this, are we? Yep, I guess we're making some more diodes. I really have to clean out this assembler here. And gallium arsenide here is still a bit of a problem for us. We're going to need this for the SMDs later on. But I think our thermal centrifuge is going to help us with that soon. Alright, we got the extra diodes. Let's make these circuits. 2 more MV, and we should be able to make our last HV. Electrum wire? Yeah, there we go. So for this machine, we also need 2 more conveyor modules. A robot arm MV. Oh, an ender pearl. I forgot about this thing. Yeah, we don't have any ender pearls, do we? Well, I think the quest book is going to save us here. We're just going to buy them with technician coins. I know there's also the enderman spawn egg in the smeltery. A couple of you guys have commented about that. That's a really awesome trick. But this is quicker and it gives us 16 to work with. So yeah, this should allow us to create our emitter. And with that, we have our MV assembling machine. Circuit assembling machine. So this guy is going to live right here. Yeah. It should be receiving enough power since it's connected directly onto the machine hull. So to finish out this episode, let's try to get our first microprocessor. And the only thing hold on, have we made central processing units? We haven't made these yet. Okay, yeah, this needs a clean room. Okay, we're going to come back to that. First of all though, let's work on these plastic circuit boards, which we haven't looked at yet. These plastic circuit boards are going to take some of our sulfuric acid, which we're buffering here. We may have to look at some bigger fluid tanks for these, or we may put super tanks here. But we also need copper foil for this, and our chemical reactor. Oh, and some sheets of polyethylene. Good thing we got that system fixed. So the polyethylene and the copper foil go inside the chemical reactor. 12 seconds per recipe. Could be better. And this is going to give us, I think, only the empty boards. Yeah, we have to chemical react these once again with sodium persulfate, or sodium persulfate. We are already making it here. We have a small buffer of it in this fluid cell. So yeah, while we're waiting on that chemical reactor there, let's look at the central processing wafer. So we're going to take you, and this guy is going to also live inside our clean room, probably next to the circuit assembly machine. Oh, before we run this thing though, let's actually hook up our fuel supply. I think I left it disconnected at the source here. Yeah, right here. And one more connection here on our turbo combustion generator. Okay, our batteries are receiving power, which means our clean room here should be operational if we hit it with the mallet. Maybe we should wait for efficiency though. You can see in the tooltip there, every 9 seconds I think it's going to gain 1 efficiency. And if we open the door it loses efficiency. So we should probably look into some elevators. These are really cheap actually. Yeah, you know what, before we go on, let's fix this. So we don't have to use the door. Maybe we'll use the door as the maintenance. And luckily enough, we bought some extra ender pearls, which we can now use for the ender pearl plate here, which we then have to put through the cutting machine. And I've also kickstarted this chemical reactor for our plastic boards. There is 2 elevators, probably a quest. Yeah, nice. The only trouble with the elevator though is we have to be above here to actually come into the clean room. Do you work? Nice. Okay, and the efficiency is climbing. You know what, let's just chance it. So we need a glass lens and a wafer. Oh, it's working. It's working. A minute per recipe, but this thing is one of the coolest machines in Gregtech, don't you think? Wait a second. Avoided it. Do we really have maintenance issues already? Running perfectly. Well, I guess let's try this again. I have no idea what just happened to that thing. Is it because I'm standing here? Is the game trying to tell me something? Okay, almost there. At this point we're wasting wafers. There's something I'm clearly missing here. Okay, 100% efficiency. Let's try this again. Yeah, it worked this time. Nice. We got our central processing unit, which I'm assuming actually needs cut in the cutting machine, which also needs the clean room. Okay, well in that case we're going to grab you as well. I did take the lubricant out of that thing. That is still precious. We don't have our distillery yet. Cutting machine can go here. Fill this with the lubricant and we can cut down our wafer. So now we put it all together, right? SMD resistors, fine copper wires, diodes, plastic circuit boards, central processing units, capacitors, and soldering alloy. Something's wrong here again. Oh, it's transistors, not the diodes? Yes, there we go. And we're still at 100%, just to double check. Do we have our first circuit in the clean room? First microprocessors. No questo. There's our quest. Well, with that, I think it's a good point to wrap up the episode. We built our clean room here. We got the multi-smelter, which has been working wonders for us today. I still do have to clean some of this area up, but I think we're going to be changing it fairly soon anyway. Anyways, that's going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.